Oh, hello. Out in the desert. Phone call. Mike. Alright. Just Gus in the front of the truck like... Hey man, look. Everyone got to start somewhere. Oh, it's in the shoe. Something's in the shoe. No. Okay. Very Breaking Bad opening, actually. I feel like... Interesting. What an opening. Okay. Okay. Keep our eyes and our brains peeled for that one. But yeah, no, genuinely, like, just this shot here. So, I mean, first of all, the Los Pollos Hermanos truck. Still very Breaking Bad to me, more so than Better Call Saul. But also this shot in a minute. This, the slow-mo, there's something falling like this. That feels Breaking Bad, man. Did I just miss something about this? Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll realize. Hello and welcome to another Better Call Saul Sunday. That's right, this show that happens every single Sunday until we are finished with it. Today, Sunk Costs, episode 3 of season 3. And we shall see how sunk those costs get me. Flamingo! Flamingo check. Oh yeah, let's go. Right, the phone call now. Okay.
Yeah.
May I assume that you are armed?
Oh, it's Gus. Okay. Interesting.
I promise you won't see mine.
Okay. A meet.
Expect 2 cars momentarily.
Very interesting, yeah. Gus would only be getting involved if he wanted Mike on board. Very cool. Hey man, talent recognizes talent at the end of the day. Mike was doing all of those jobs to perfection, professionally, offering so much more than the job entailed or needed. Hello, face to face. Oh, the black. Oh, ow. That suit's so sharp it cut me, man. My goodness, your man looking good. Your man looking perfect. Look at that, man. Look at it. It's so interesting how when he's in this suit or this kind of a dress compared with his Los Pollos Hermanos uniform and the facade that comes with that. And look at the way he walks out of the car. Look at that hand on the jacket as he comes out. Sorry, he's almost Howard-esque in the way that he is, the meticulousness of how he is. And that informal, pleasant almost facade with that sharpness underneath that he has when he's in Los Pollos Hermanos in the restaurant, right? Does that so perfectly. And then the shift, the change when he's actually himself in this life as he is, right? The black suit, the change of dress, look at that, the hand on the jacket. So meticulously comes out, yeah, walks forward, calm, collected, serious. Oh, I love it. Oh, I'm so hyped for this.
You care to elaborate?
Yeah, good question.
It's not in my interest for Hector Salamanca to die
And also he wants to be the one to do it.
this time.
Right, and is that the bargain? I wonder. No. Don't kill him. Don't worry. He will die.
Who is he to you?
An associate of an associate.
How very specific. We had a disagreement.
Yeah, and he threatened
He
Kaylee.
threatened my family. I'm not going to let that go.
But you had let it go. You'd taken his money.
Ooh, they were watching him all the way.
And yet, still, you robbed his truck.
The bystander. Yeah, Gus seeing exactly what makes Mike Mike. Something didn't quite make sense. He'd been watching him and he'd examined and analyzed him to a T. And he was like, no, something doesn't quite make sense. He's got everything. Gus has got everything. And to have that, to have worked all that out, and like, it's one thing for me to work it out. I'm watching the show, right? I'm watching everything. I can see everything. And I get that Gus has eyes and ears everywhere, right? Clearly, he knows all this stuff. At the same time, the fact that he's working it all out, man, it just shows you that behind the scenes, he is this spider with all these webs and he knows about everything. I love that. I love that feeling that you get that comes with his character and who he is and what he's doing, what he's saying.
Your family was no longer in danger.
This is a job interview, I think.
Shouldn't that have settled the matter?
Yeah, Gus is trying to find out Mike, who he is, really.
You made an attempt on his life. Why? I understand that a civilian found the driver.
Right, so Gus suspected.
Hector murdered this civilian.
Yeah, he knew. Gus demonstrating to Mike how big a deal he is, how much he knows.
He wasn't in the game.
I am not completely unsympathetic to your sense of justice.
See, this kind of demonstrates, again, some of what I was talking about last episode and how I feel about and how I see Gus based on Breaking Bad. Demonstrated here again. If he was just the cold, hard killer with no sense of empathy or warmth towards humans who do demonstrate actually a sliver of good. If he didn't have that, he would just outright kill Mike, right? Mike is a threat to Hector. He's a threat to Gus's revenge. This plan, this long laid plan that Gus has, that we know he has, Mike is a threat to that. If Gus didn't contain these layers that I'm talking about, he would have been like, no, no, no. Mike's a threat. He's coming in the way of what I want and my goals. Get rid of him. Because Gus could have done that. He had the jump on him. He could have done that several times at any point along this path. We've just found out that he was watching him even before when he tried to shoot Hector. It demonstrates here in the way that Gus has gone about this and the way that Gus is acting in regards to Mike. Even giving him a face-to-face is a lot of respect as well, by the way. That's a big deal. We know from that Mike has earned Gus's respect. But with all of that evidence, information gathered, it does just show those layers to Gus and the way that he's like, I feel for your plight. I feel for where you're coming from. And it shows that glimmer of something a little warmer under this facade. Even this facade, which is more him than I think the Los Pollos Hermanos. Even though I talk about that Los Pollos facade as a facade, but I do feel like that is also part of him as well. I think there are different, I was talking about this in Breaking Bad. I think that the DEA chief who was talking about, oh, I had him round for barbecues and he taught me how to like cook my fish or something. And he was around my kids and I thought we were friends. And I was talking at the time about how I was like, no, I think that was genuine. I think he was your friend. I just think that he only had one part of the greater whole, right? And obviously for the DEA chief, that soured things, as it would have, as is obvious, right? But I do think that sometimes it's as easy as that. I think it's not as complicated as we make it out to be of like, who is he? Who was he truly? I feel like sometimes the answer is just as easy as he is all of those people. Those are different parts of himself. I think this applies to a lot of people as well, is that we are different people around different people, right? Like I am a certain person around that person because they respond better to that side of me than when I'm acting that way around that person because that's who they are. And like you shapeshift, we shapeshift as humans all the time. And I think, yeah, there are three big ones I think for me. Obviously the mob boss, right? The Los Pollos Hermanos, and also the one when he's entertaining guests at dinner. And I think the barbecue with the DEA chief comes under that banner as well, right? And we saw it twice, I think, in Breaking Bad with Jesse and Walter when he brought them over to have dinner with them and he cooked and he was this very careful, very gracious host and very conversational. And I think all of these things, all of these facades, as much as I call them that, I think they are different shades, different facets of this one whole. And I think that split almost of who he is could probably trace it back to that origin of that initial moment at the poolside where he lost, and I'm so sorry I forget his partner's name, when that happened with the Dons. I think it maybe goes a little bit beyond that, a little bit before that. I feel like there's maybe, I hope we find out more about Gus actually in his past. I don't know, I don't need that, but I do feel like there's something to his character that maybe started before that scene at the pool, right? Because at the end of the day, he was trying to get the Dons notice, right? He was trying to start something. It wasn't until it went south and they killed his partner that this vendetta started, right? But I do feel like there was a little bit more to him even before that. Anyway, I digress. But I think this split, these different facets to him really started to take shape after that focal point in his past at the pool when his partner got killed by the Dons. Sorry, Gus, very fascinating character. And I've gone on a little bit of a tangent, but hey, why not, man? This is what it's for at the end of the day. I think he's a character that contains multitudes and he's very interesting. And I think even just the way that he's going about this meeting and the way that he's gone about communicating and dealing with Mike shows you a lot about who he is.
You hurt his business quite effectively.
Yeah.
If you were to hurt him in the same manner again, I would not stand in your way.
You want me to rob another truck?
If you feel so inclined.
I have a feeling that what happens to Hector, whatever puts him in the wheelchair, I feel like Gus is pulling those strings.
I'm done with that.
Incentivize the man. Come on, Gus.
Then our business here is finished.
Okay.
Just like that.
Yeah, suspicious. Fair play.
I trust that you are done with Hector Salamanca.
You gotta be.
Goodbye, Mr. Ermentrout.
Yeah, Gus coming here shows a lot of respect to Mike.
You want his trucks hit because you want to disrupt his supply line.
Why do you ask?
Because I'm not done with Hector Salamanca.
Okay, team up, perfect. Yeah, not forgetting the opening scene, the Los Pollos truck. Still curious.
I need you to reschedule all my appointments for tomorrow.
Something has come up, hasn't it, my boy? My guy, you're in so much trouble.
Tell Kim I won't be back in tonight.
Why, what are you doing? I feel like you should bring Kim in a little bit, man. Damage control.
You won't want to hear it, but this is for the best.
Is it, Chuck? Your idea of best?
Whatever colorful names you're calling me in your head right now.
Oh, stop.
Please understand, I'm trying to help you.
Help. How? How are you trying to help? Go on, no. Lay it on me. Tell me. I reserve judgment.
I'm trying to help you.
What's your version of help, buddy?
Here's what's going to happen. The police will arrest you, and I'm sorry, but I will be pressing charges.
Wow. Great help.
I told you there would be consequences.
To your actions.
But I have to believe You'll face those consequences, and you'll come out the other side a better man.
Right, hang on. You're assuming. So that's his goal, right? What he's just said is that's his goal. That's the end goal for him. He's like, okay, hopefully you'll suffer enough, because he wants that too. He wants Jimmy to suffer to the point that you become a better man, or you come out of it maybe a little bit better. And it's like, the dangerous thing of that is like, what is better to you though, Chuck? That's the thing. It's better to your satisfaction. And what is that? What does that mean? Because when he saved Jimmy initially from prison and took him under his wing, put him in the mailroom of HHM, and then when he tried to better himself and be a better man, right, turn over a new leaf, rather than working against the law, breaking the law, he decided to go as hard in the opposite direction as possible to that and become a lawyer himself. When he did that, when he bettered himself, that wasn't okay. So it's like, Chuck says these things, but I don't think he knows what he means by that. I think if you ask Chuck, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean by bettered himself? What do you mean by that? Like, what do you envision? And I don't think he knows. I honestly don't think he knows. Or it's just Jimmy working at a fast food restaurant or something where he's not harming anybody. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, right, even if that means that your brother is miserable. And by the way, I don't mean anything derogatory to anyone who works at a fast food restaurant. But like for me, we've seen that in the flash forwards, right? Like Jimmy is not happy in the hospitality business. That's not what he likes to do. And granted, there's a lot of caveats to that, right? He's in hiding, I get it. But I don't think as a character, as a person, he would be happy doing that. And it's like, even if Jimmy was there doing that, but he was depressive and that was taking him to a place that might actually do him harm, not happy in himself, not happy in his life, I don't think that would matter to Chuck, because to Chuck, how Jimmy feels and what Jimmy wants and Jimmy's own happiness, individual happiness for himself, I don't think that matters to Chuck. What matters to Chuck is where Jimmy is and whether Chuck is satisfied with that. Sorry, I don't know why I'm stopping and like explaining this. I do feel like most people know this if they're watching. I'm not trying to explain this to anybody. It's not an explanation, but I'm just talking it through, and I'm like, the inaneness of this man's logic baffles me. I don't think this end goal that he has his sights set on and the method by which he's trying to achieve it, I don't think he's actually sat down and thought about it at all. Because the point of it is that that's not his end goal. His goal is to make his brother suffer. Because Chuck's ego has been hit. He's been made to look a fool, which is a big trigger for him. He's been made to look vulnerable, which is a big trigger for him. That is what is at play here. It's nothing to do with Jimmy, which is what Chuck has persuaded himself that it is. We've seen that. We have evidence throughout the show to show us that. Ugh.
But
and you can see him, he's genuine.
You'll face those consequences.
He believes what he's saying. Chuck believes this.
But Jimmy, this is an opportunity. That's why I'm doing this, not to punish you.
I don't even know at this point how you show Chuck what he's doing. You know what I mean? I don't know how you start that conversation. You can't.
That's why I'm doing this, not to punish you.
Okay. Yes, you are punishing him.
Truly show you that you have to make a change before it's too late.
You have to make a change. You mean like he has been doing and has done several times? What? Sorry, and also, I'm so sorry. I keep stopping and talking about this, but like I am repeating what I've essentially said and been saying these past 2 into 3 seasons. I mean, first of all, he has shown that he wants to change. I've said that throughout, and there's evidence, and you'll have to go watch the videos if you don't believe me. But that's beside the point. Chuck has not cultivated an environment in which Jimmy can change either. Or at least he's done everything he can to make sure that the environment is not cultivated for that. He's made it as difficult as possible for Jimmy to achieve that. This man, Chuck, is so backwards. He's so, honestly, he's a fool, and he's making a fool of himself. All of the words that he's saying is such clownish behavior. I'm so sorry. He's such an odd fellow, and that is me being kind.
Before it's too late. Before you destroy yourself.
You're destroying him.
Or someone else.
Oh, that's the key.
And I believe you can change.
No, you don't. You believe he can change. If you believed he could change, we'd never be here. We'd never have been here. It's like every other sentence that he says. We have evidence to show that as much as I think he's not lying in this moment, he believes what he's saying, it's a lie. All of what I'm hearing, it's like he's a brick wall with like 1,000 cracks in it. He could crumble at anyone pushing him. And all of this stuff, rather than look at the cracks in himself and be like, I should probably sort this out a little bit, he's just papering over it. All of this is paper, so flimsy. It's just covering the actual intent beneath, covering his true feelings.
And I believe you can change.
The audacity of everything he's saying.
I will be there to help you walk that path.
You weren't. You weren't. You could have been. Jimmy, call him out.
Here's what's gonna happen.
Boom. Okay, good. War.
One day you're gonna get sick.
It's true.
And this time it'll be too much.
Mm-hmm.
And you will die there.
Mm-hmm.
Alone.
You see the emotion in Jimmy's face there. Yeah, look at Chuck. Chuck feels that. That hit Chuck. Jimmy there is lamenting, But Chuck hears Jimmy's wish, I feel like. God, the layers. Sorry I'm talking a lot. Oh my goodness. I have 30 minutes recording. We're 9 minutes into the episode. I'm so sorry, but like, I'm bringing attention to it because the layers beneath the words that these two men are saying and the words that like Gus and what's on display between Gus and Mike, and God, the depths of the foundations of the conversations we're seeing so far in this episode are so deep. My goodness. I am going to walk back this inferring of Chuck's perception here. I wonder actually whether Chuck realized himself that without Jimmy, his life wouldn't quite be the same either. And I also wonder at the motivation Chuck is now going to feel by this. It'd be in character for Chuck specifically not to die, just despite Jimmy's assumption. Something's got to change, Jimmy. Something's got to change, and Chuck is... I don't see him doing it. This has to be a turning point. This needs to show Jimmy that this is Chuck, and he's not going to change. And it hurts, and it's going to hurt, and we saw that hurt. But I hope that Jimmy protects himself from this kind of thing happening again. Okay, I know I just had a go at Chuck for talking about Jimmy needing to change and then say the same thing myself. I don't mean the same thing, of course. I'm referring to where this toxic relationship keeps getting him. What I'm referring to is this relationship that is this back and forth that's hurting the both of them. Mostly hurting Jimmy, let's be honest, and how to live his life. He needs to cut Chuck out.
Holy hell.
Hello, buddy.
How the mighty have fallen.
Don't rub it in.
So you got representing him?
I'll be representing myself.
Get Kim involved, please.
Moron.
Yes.
How's, Omar?
How is Omar? I am curious.
I gotta run anyway. Just had to see it for myself.
Bit rude.
You, gonna be okay?
Okay. Nice, thank you. Please call Kim. And by the way, it's gone past whether Jimmy deserves it or not. You can argue that Jimmy deserves this or doesn't deserve this. Doesn't matter. To me, that's not really the discussion on the table. The discussion on the table is the brutality, the cutthroatness, the lack of empathy from Chuck. The honest to God vindictiveness that it takes for Chuck to do that to his brother, who he professes to love and care for and want the best for. No. Yeah, Kim, come on. Did she sleep in the office? Of course she did. Coffee! Good to see you return. Ernie, my boy. Good. Be the conduit for communication.
Mr. McGill fired me.
Of course he did. The dirty worm. He used you in... Oh my God. He used you in his plan, and then as soon as you were dispensable, he dispensed of you. All as well, you know it was because he didn't believe him when he... Right, because Ernie in the hospital had Chuck's best interest, his health in mind, I think. Yeah, he likes Jimmy as well. That is true. Like, that was also at play there. But you know that was a vindictive move against Ernie because of that as well. You know, that moment in the hospital where he vouched for Jimmy. God, Chuck's the worst, man. He's such a great antagonist, but he's the worst.
It doesn't matter. Is Jimmy okay?
Bless him.
I didn't mean for this to happen.
What happened to Jimmy?
The way that Kim calmly said that too, you kind of see the emotion under the surface, but she had that professional facade, interesting, on as she said it. She kind of tamped it down and was like, what happened? Like, honestly, Chuck is just a bad person at this point. If you get to that age and you're displaying the amount of suppression and the severe lack of emotional self-awareness, the severe lack of empathy and awareness in regards to himself, his brother, the people around him, you get to that age, it's very, very hard to undo that. I just don't see, to me, he feels like a lost cause at this point.
Petty misdemeanor assault, maximum 6 months jail. Mr. McGill, have you secured counsel?
Come on, Kim.
Your Honor?
Yes, Kim.
I'll be representing Mr.
Boom.
McGill in this matter.
Thank you. You need her. Don't you dare.
Your Honor, if I may...
No, Jimmy.
I'll be representing myself.
Stop it. Stand down, son. Stand down.
I strongly advise against that.
Yeah.
Your Honor, may I have a moment to speak with my client?
Good.
Sounds like he's not your client.
Oh, come on. Just give her a moment. Give her the moment, please.
Mr. McGill, would you like to take a moment to discuss this?
Jimmy. No. For the love of God, man. Start making good decisions, please.
Ms. Wexler, I'm sorry.
Idiot. Jimmy, you idiot.
I f***ed up.
Oh, F-bomb. Hello. Yeah, you did, though.
Chuck bamboozled me. He made sure that Ernie heard it. Bless him. Would tell me about it.
Bless him. Preach.
Just waiting for me to lose my shit. Chuck played me like a...
Yeah, Kim's face. She's tired of this happening again and again and again. It's like something's got to change, man.
I didn't call you for a reason, okay? Because this is my screw-up.
Oh, come on.
I own it. okay?
But you're in a relationship. That's the thing. This is the thing that he doesn't realize. His intentions behind that, perfectly adequate, perfectly empathetic again towards her, but I don't think he actually is being empathetic, and I don't think he realizes that, because like they're in a partnership, they're together. And as much as he's trying to just take it all on himself, Kim cares about him. You gotta let her in, especially considering she's a lawyer. She wants to help you, dude. And you keeping her out, pushing her out, is hurting her. That's not helping. That's only frustrated her, honestly. The best thing he could have done, the empathetic thing for him to do in that position, is to let her in, because she is the kind of person that needs to do that, that wants to do that. And if you get in her way in regard to that, which he did, it's not quite taken into account that they are together and she cares about him. And that is not as empathetic, mate, as you feel like it is.
I know you want to help, of course you do, because you're wonderful, but
You can't control that though.
you're up to your ears in Mesa Verde.
Oh, now you care.
I will fix this.
Okay. Okay.
You have got to let me do this on my own.
I think she's going to say okay, but
Okay.
Yeah. What can she do, mate? You've tied her hands for her, which, a little disrespectful. You didn't ask her what she wanted. You didn't ask her what was best for her. You just assumed and acted. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's disrespect in that.
I mean, I just touched up the edges a little.
Good on you, mate. Well done. Well done.
Just, this isn't a typical week around here.
How much do you want to bet this just continues? Oh, the doctor. Was this Gus's doctor?
Me?
This is Gus's doctor in the future.
The doctor's ready.
I need a package yay big.
And what's that in grams?
This big.
Lovely to see a return of someone we know. I like it. There is no way that was the same cup. That was way fuller than that, dude. Your finger would have been well into that hot coffee. Nah, no, not buying that. You need to work on your coffee acting, son. It's a thing. To be fair, actually, I was joking, but like, funnily enough, like I have not seen one actor carry a cup of coffee that's supposed to be full and convince me of it. Like, okay, it bugs me.
Hey.
There he is.
Server lucky soul at the DA's office catches this. Looking at an easy clear.
Yeah, you think Chuck is going to give you that?
That would be go ahead. Classic case of overcharging. Happy to have a civil conversation.
Jimmy wants something from this guy. Putting the food there. Jimmy doing his thing, right? I don't think Jimmy actually likes this guy. From what I've seen in the show, I don't think he likes this guy. So the fact that he's come, put his food down, he's like, yeah, go ahead, you want a chip? Letting him just eat. He's buttering him up. He wants something.
Well, good luck with that.
Here it comes.
I'm prosecuting your case? Nah, ma'am. It's not me.
Trying to find out. Okay. Who is it?
It's not Erickson, is it?
Yeah, he's trying to find out.
Who is it?
My boss used the words tough but fair.
Uh-oh.
Good luck.
Yeah, for real.
Burger's getting cold.
Give it.
You want it?
Yeah, of course he is. Didn't even want the burger, mate.
So they let you keep the car?
What? No.
That blows.
All right, dude. Just take your burger and go. Yeah, okay. The Alto sign. Oh, that does not have as many bullet holes in it as we saw at the beginning. So, yikes. Shoes, shoebox. Interesting. Okay, so this was we got a little tease at the beginning. Interesting, I like that. Okay. What did you do to those to make them look worn, mate? Oh, wait, was that just a call forward? Sorry, no. We're about to see, I feel like, what put the shoes up there, right? And I feel like that Los Pollos truck at the beginning, and maybe it's not a coincidence that I was like, this feels like Breaking Bad, because I feel like maybe the time frame was in Breaking Bad. And the Los Pollos truck was that future of Gus taking over that supply chain, right? Because that's what we see, he has that monopoly in future. And I guess the truck coming through here at the moment is Hector's, right? Hector has this. And I guess whatever happens here now changes that future to the point that Gus gets that monopoly and means that his truck's coming through. So I think what we saw at the beginning was a massive flash forward to Breaking Bad times, perhaps. That's my theory. That's interesting. That's really cool. Man, how many times did it take him to do that? Because some people could try that all day and not do it. And we know he did. That's impressive. 2? No, not 2. Okay. 3? Was it for real 3? That's insane. Dude. Oh, hello.
He used a fireplace poker to break into my desk, but he never would have used it on me. My brother is a lot of things, but even he has limits.
Oh, well, good. At least you admitted that, mate.
I've had situations involving family members before where the injured party has ultimately been reluctant to cooperate with my office.
What's your office? Sounds very serious. I don't like it.
Curious about your strategy.
Don't backseat it, mate.
As officers of the court, I feel we should be held to a higher standard.
Oh, God, okay.
I don't intend to take it easy on your brother just because he's a lawyer.
And in fact, you intend on bringing the hammer down harder because he's a lawyer. That is what I'm hearing. Wow. It's one or the other, Chuck. You can either count your brother as a lawyer and accept him as that or not. And we know it's not, right? He doesn't. And yet, when he's in trouble like this, he doesn't even balk at this lady coming at him and being like, yeah, because he's a lawyer, right, Chuck? He's a lawyer. Yeah, he is. I'm going to punish him more. Again, hypocrisy from Chuck. It's like, is he a lawyer or isn't he, in your eyes? We've seen that he doesn't value Jimmy as a lawyer to the point that he should, right? He sees Jimmy's passing the bar, and Jimmy as a lawyer, he sees below himself and the lawyers of HHM and everyone else, right? That has been established. And now, when Jimmy is being punished for being that thing and being measured as the thing as the same as they all are, right? As a lawyer, Chuck doesn't even bat an eyelid. It's like, yeah, as a lawyer. Yeah, he's a fully fledged lawyer. Yeah, he's on our level. Yeah. It's like, if that means Jimmy will get punished more, Chuck immediately forgets the line that he drew in the sand, right? Which shows you that that line wasn't that important to him. Again, shows you evidence of the fact that as much as I think on the surface that's what Chuck feels like it is, right? That Jimmy, got his law degree and passed the bar in the way that he did. I think that's a lie that Chuck is telling to himself to like justify the way that he feels and the way that he's acting, but I don't actually think that is why he's acting that way. Again, because I think it's this ego. Coming back to it again, more evidence I think that the foundation for the way and the why that Chuck is acting this way is that his ego's been bruised and he sees Jimmy as coming up and being on a par and equal to him, when in Chuck's mind Jimmy is and should be below him. Because we see here that that line that he drew in the sand doesn't matter when it actually gets to the nitty-gritty of it, right? Because the only thing that matters here is putting Jimmy in his place. Such a hypocritical, slimy, weaselly man.
I don't intend to take it easy on your brother just because he's a lawyer.
Of course not.
Like, again, you know what I mean? Subtly, in the act of not saying anything and just letting that wash over him and not being in any way ruffled by that, shows you that that was never the big deal. That was never what was important. What was important was pushing Jimmy back down.
The bone of contention is going to be the felony breaking and entering. I'll hold the line on the felony. Which means this could possibly go to trial.
Interesting little thing there.
On the felony.
Right.
Which means
that little, maybe a little bit of unsurety actually. Is that too far, right? He wants Jimmy punished, he does, but I do believe that he wants him punished a very specific amount. Do you know what I mean? Is that too much? I wonder. Maybe that is a little bit of like, that's too far. We'll see.
I'll get started on this.
Go on what?
Unless you have other concerns.
Yeah.
Go
on.
I just keep thinking, Jimmy has a good heart.
Right.
It's not an excuse for what he's done.
What do you want? What do you want, mate?
And I know...
This is good, this is honest.
He's emotional, he flies off the handle.
I understand, but this is more than flying off the handle.
I'm not going to defend his actions.
Yeah.
But I can't help wondering if there's not a better solution.
Go on. What do you want?
For everyone.
We're going to cut. Yeah, of course we are. Interesting. I'm going to wait until we see what that is before I render judgment. But that was good. Maybe. Chuck clearly has something in mind. Does he go to shoot the string? Because he put something in the shoe. Does he miss, I wonder? Right, so they were always going to stop here. That is a thick man. Holy shit.
Quizás son cazadores.
Right, he's allaying any suspicion at a gunshot. Whenever he does what he does, they're not gonna find the gunshot out of place. Clever. Ah, okay. Right, whatever it was, they're gonna catch it on the truck. What a clever plan. Like, you would have your work cut out for you to work out what happened here today from Hector's side of things. Oh, he's too smoking. A bit of nostalgia.
I got a deal offer from the ADA today. It's not what I expected. She's offering me pre-prosecution diversion.
Okay.
That's great, Jimmy.
Right.
What does she want you to confess to?
All of it. Felony, B&E.
That's all Chuck wants.
I never touched him, but they got assault in there.
Wow. A quick note here. Chuck knows Jimmy never touched him, and yet he allowed that to be included. For a man who professes that the law is important and shouldn't be messed with, he sure does like to play with it. Hypocrisy. Again. Whether anyone wants to argue that this wasn't up to him and it was the prosecutor doesn't matter. Chuck's actions and meddling got him here. This happened because of him. Even if it was indirect, the law has been sullied because of the trap that he set. At best, you could argue that Chuck was right. To meddle with the law is to risk sullying it. But undeniably, Chuck now is a hypocrite. And it just goes to show that the law doesn't always argue for the truth.
Could be worse.
Right.
As long as they never activate it, it doesn't matter, right?
You gonna be able to keep your nose clean for a whole year? And if I don't, it's instant jail, right?
Why do I feel like this is a bigger plot by Chuck?
Jimmy, this is good news.
No, I don't think it is, dude.
And Chuck is gonna be... It's a big check in the pro column.
Right. And I was tempted... Right, hang on, sorry, the PPD was Chuck's idea.
Chuck's idea.
Kim? Suspicion. Bells. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. He knows too.
What's his game?
Right.
One condition of the PPD is that my written confession is immediately submitted to the New Mexico
I was gonna say he wants him disbarred.
Bar Association.
Your written felony confession.
Yeah.
He just wants my law license.
The thing, so ironic, isn't it? That Chuck was talking about, like, I just want you to change. I just want you to change. And it's like, Jimmy did change. He became a lawyer, right? He went from Slippin' Jimmy to being a lawyer, being an upholder of the law. And instead of, like, offering his hand and being like Chuck and being like, oh, brother, come here. Yeah, let's be partners in this. I'll help you. You know, I do this too. Let me take you under my wing. In the way that we've seen Chuck do before. Instead of doing that and seeing it for the change that it could have been, right? And that Chuck himself professes to want for his brother, instead of recognizing that, seeing that, taking that opportunity, Chuck does the very opposite thing to what he says he wants. He takes that away and does everything he can to take that away. And it's like, Chuck, you are so disingenuous. You're a liar. This is the thing. If Jimmy lets this happen, I think that's an end of it from Chuck's side. That's what Chuck wants. That's his end goal. Which again, it's like, yeah, Chuck wants the best for Jimmy, only if it fits within the prerequisites that Chuck has outlined for Jimmy. That's not freedom. That is not wanting the best for Jimmy. It's not. Like, those things don't equate to the same thing, right? Like, they just don't, right? That's such a controlling, toxic manifestation of the intent to want the best for Jimmy, right? So it's like, as much as Chuck has convinced himself that that's what he's doing and that's what he does want, saying a thing and doing a thing and trying to make a thing come about, they're not the same thing. And as much as he says that, his actions are the opposite.
A confession to a felony?
Yeah, it's game over, right?
Grounds for disbarment.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and if I take it to trial and I lose, I face the bar anyways and jail time most likely.
Right.
He's got me boxed in.
Right. Vindictive.
You can fight this.
This is the thing, because I've got these comments and I do feel like the vast majority of people who watch my videos, and probably the vast majority of people who watch this show, are very much, I do feel like probably on my side and the way, and talk and think and feel the way that I feel about this stuff. I do know from my comments that there is a subsection of the community that watch this show and watch my videos that do fight Chuck's corner, and I can already tell would be like, this is a good thing. Jimmy's broken the law. Jimmy's done this. Jimmy's done that. And as much as it's, you know, on Chuck's side, this is how it should be. This is a good thing. This is how it should work. And it's like, a beautiful job you have done of ignoring all of the context though. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I can see that side of the argument. I don't buy it, right? And it's like, I can see that side of the argument, but to see that side of the argument and to actually truly believe that in myself, I would have to willingly ignore the entire show that I've seen so far and the context that has lent itself to my opinion so far, which I can't do. Right? Because that's the thing. As much as, sure, Jimmy, if you're basing that on Jimmy having broken the law, then sure, this should happen. But that is not all we know. We are, as the audience, we are privy to things that in real life you wouldn't be, which means that you can't judge it from the same perspective as in real life, right? You've got to judge it from the perspective of an audience member watching a show with all of the information and additional context behind the scenes, which is what we are watching it with. Right? So you have to judge it that way. You can't like ignore all that and judge it, well, in real life, this is what. No, it's not real life. It's a show, right? And watching the show and being aware of the context and aware of these deep-seated issues and the deep-seated emotional reasons as to why Jimmy is the way he is. Going back all the way back to that flashback and that in the bar with Marco, and I can't remember what episode it was, it's in a previous episode, previous season, when I was talking about, I see a Jimmy slipping Jimmy aside. It's that flashback scene when he's talking to Marco and leaving, and Chuck's outside and he's leaving to go and be in the mailroom of HHM, and he's talking about putting it all aside. He rejects Marco. He's like, no, I've got to turn over a new leaf. In that scene alone, you can see that he's ready to put slipping Jimmy aside. Completely, fully. If Chuck at that point had taken Jimmy under his wing fully and completely and seen it as a Jimmy changing his ways, which it was, I believe, from having watched that scene, Jimmy could have been that person, that lawyer, that could have been him. He only had to do what he's had to do. Break the law as we've seen it in the show from episode 1, season 1, from the start of that. The only reason he had to do that to make a living as a lawyer was because Chuck was sabotaging him in the background. Was because Chuck didn't take him under his wing, usher him into HHM, even if it was at a low level. It's worth mentioning here, it was presumptuous of Jimmy to want a job at HHM. I think it's entirely fair if Chuck didn't want him working there. That's his prerogative as a named partner. What was not okay was how Chuck handled that. I maintain that if Chuck had just sat Jimmy down and been honest, things would be a lot different now. Chuck was someone Jimmy deeply respected, and as hard as it would have been, he'd have taken it much better than he did from Howard. Chuck went to Howard and was like, no, don't allow that. We know that those talks were happening, and the reason that Howard came in and was like, it's not going to happen, is because of Chuck. If Chuck hadn't done that and had accepted Jimmy coming into the mailroom, and at that point that we saw in that flashback with Marco when Jimmy was turning over that leaf, if Chuck had actually believed and seen at that point and actually not judged Jimmy from all of these things as a child, like, who does that? Who does that? I'm so sorry. You can't judge somebody. If someone judged me for something I did when I was like 10 years old, now as someone approaching 30, I'd be like, are you insane? I'm not that person, dude. I was a kid. Are you me? You're using that as evidence as to who I am now. I'm not that. We're all completely different people in different stages of our lives. You can't use examples from when people were kids, teenagers, even early 20s for judging them when they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s. You can't. You can't do that. That doesn't compute. That's not an accurate assessment of that person. It's not. And if you think it is, you're being disingenuous to the highest degree. So you can argue all you want that at that moment when Jimmy's turning over a new leaf, he's leaving Marco in the bar, and you're like, yeah, but Chuck was just judging him based on who he was as a person his whole life. It's the whole point of that was that Jimmy was like, thank you, Chuck. I'm not going to take this for granted. I'm going to work at it, right? That was the deal. That was the bargain that we saw. The point being that the bargain was one-sided. Jimmy was serious and wanted that change. We as the audience saw that in that bar and the way that he talked to Marco. The missing piece to that equation was Chuck coming in, taking him under his wing, and when Jimmy showed that he had changed his ways and wanted to change, which we saw, was it, I've watched 2 episodes in a row, was it this episode or last episode? I think last episode, when he was like, I want to see a change from you. I want you to change your ways. If Chuck had actually followed through with that and actually genuinely believed that, and that had been genuine from Chuck's side, all the way back then when Jimmy was showing that he changed his ways, because he did. There's enough evidence that we know of for Chuck to be like, wow, he has changed his ways. This isn't the Jimmy I knew. He's put in all this effort to work overtime, work nights, go to the effort of passing the bar and becoming a lawyer himself. That's change. That's change at its basest form. Chuck had that. Chuck had everything he needed. He was too blind, though, to see it, right? And from that point forward, from keeping Jimmy from HHM meant that Jimmy had to go out on his own, struggle. And because he struggled, because he didn't have that nurturing, that help from his brother, who he should have, he relied and slipped back into slipping Jimmy. Everything that we see from episode 1 of season 1, everything that we see is because of Chuck, because of Chuck's actions, because Chuck isn't genuine about any of what he's saying. Any law that we've seen Jimmy break in this series is a direct consequence of Chuck's actions and only exists because Chuck, rather than reaching out a helping hand at very focal, imperative points where he should have, and where we've seen recently that apparently he wants, If he'd actually done that and been honest about that, if he was honest about that, he would have done that all the way back when. None of this would have happened. Jimmy wouldn't have broken the law. All he ever wanted was his brother's approval. All he ever wanted was that if Chuck had given him that, and he deserved that at that point, right? He was trying, you know, he turned over a new leaf. He was ready and primed to do that. And because of Chuck, do you know what I mean? So it's like, how, knowing all that context, watching the same show I'm watching, how could anyone possibly think this is right? Jimmy deserves this. He doesn't. He doesn't. He's a victim. He's a victim. Yeah. I've talked about it a lot, and that's where I stand on it. And I just, yeah, hey, you know, if people want to comment that, feel free. That's fine. I've got to take myself out of that conversation, honestly, because I just don't buy it. I just don't. Jimmy doesn't deserve this. He deserves the kindness, the empathy of his brother. He deserved it all way back when. He never got it. He deserves it now. He's not getting it. Chuck's the antagonist, plain and simple.
You can fight this.
Yeah.
Chuck knows everybody at the bar.
Damn.
Hell, he made half their careers.
Really?
Him and his cronies versus me.
Stinks of privilege.
Versus me, alone.
There we go. The pitting of Jimmy against Chuck. We're getting it.
Not alone.
Boom. Yes, Kim. Yes.
Jimmy.
You need her.
You need me.
Yeah.
You can't argue this yourself.
Yeah, you need help, man.
And I'm not gonna let you fight this on your own.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Why would you?
Why? She loves you, dude.
This guy? Seriously?
Yeah. Oh.
Let's just call it the fallacy of sunk costs.
No, that's a bad reason to do it. No, I'm too far in, so I got her. No, you care for him. Just say you care for him, man.
Now we take that PPD and we shove it right up Chuck's ass.
Good. Fight it. Perfect. This is the fight I wanted to see. It's exactly what I wanted to see. I mean, you saw me talking about it, I think, all the way from season 1. And boom, I love to see the beginnings of that coming forward into the show now. Yeah, that's what I want to see. And I was like, it would be a wasted opportunity if we didn't see that. And boom, perfect. They are giving it to us. Oh, exciting. Exciting stuff. Yeah, look, I've talked enough this episode. What I'll leave it on is, you know, the stuff that I was saying about the Chuck supporters and the Jimmy should go to jail supporters is like, look, I guess what I will come down on, have be my final say on that is that, look, you're obviously allowed your opinion, okay? I adamantly disagree with it. And I do feel like I've supplied so much evidence as to why I feel I can say the things that I say. I adamantly disagree. I respect your opinion. I do not agree. Like I say, I sometimes I get too invested in the vocal minority of comments because I do honestly think that most people support what I'm saying and do see what I'm seeing. Okay, well that's the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed already, click that button, click the bell as well, and you will be notified every single time we do a Better Call Saul Sunday. Thank you, as always, to my beautiful patrons. Thank you so much for your support. Early access down there in the link below in the description if you're interested. And other than that, thank you again. Watch this video if you want to keep that hype train going, dude. Give it the old click. Support me that way. That would be epic. That would be, I'd love you forever. I would. Hey, no, I love you as well. Just shut up. I'm schmoozing them. Shut up. Thank you for watching, and I will see you very, very soon.